So I've been talking a lot about breathing with the fear and anxiety videos. And I know that a lot of people with anxiety almost can feel more anxious when they focus on their breathing. But I really feel like it would be of benefit to all of us to learn young how you breathe for different situations. So I had an insight today about skiing and breathing that I don't know, I've been skiing 40 years. This has never occurred to me before, so it's a little weird, but I want to share this insight with you. It's going to have to be a little background here. So my husband gets terrible. I think he's on the trailer behind me. I told him to write up on his own because I didn't want to have him listening to me record and be self-conscious. So he gets altitude sickness. And so this morning he mentioned that and he also loves to mountain climb. So he went on a pretty high mountain climbing expedition, and the guide taught him how to breathe if you are in high altitudes and feeling that altitude sickness. And it basically is to take a really big breath in and then a quick exhale, and almost like a hyperventilation. And that's a very activating type of breathing, but it oxygenates your lungs and oxygenates your body. And I think my mouth's getting a little cold, so I'll probably finish this when I get home. But thinking of you guys and want to share my breathing while skiing insight with you because I think it applies to so many activities. All right, bye.
Okay, so I am back in New York, not skiing anymore, but I wanted to finish up this video about breathing techniques for different activities, how helpful it is, share that insight I had about breathing while skiing, and some other examples that I think will really relate because how we breathe coordinates with what we are doing on a natural basis often, but sometimes we really have to learn new techniques and manipulate it. And it is such a powerful tool. It's a super powerful tool for enhancing performance and for changing how we feel. And we are not really taught this as a general population. So if you have ever been a singer, if you joined a chorus or you learned to sing, you would have been taught breathing techniques for singing, right? If you learn to play the sax or any kind of wind instrument, you would learn the different techniques for breathing that facilitate that. Now, probably for a wider audience, when you learn to exercise, right? Like if you are weightlifting and you're going to push weights over your head, when are you breathing out and when are you breathing in? Now, I think instinctually, people will breathe out when they push up. They'll breathe out when they exert and then breathe in on the more relaxation movement. So if you're weightlifting, it's like a right? And if you don't do that naturally, you'll be encouraged to by your gym teacher, your coach, whoever you're following. Same thing with running, with dancing, pretty much any activity. And you know what? It's also the same thing for everyday living. So for everyday living, if you want to be in an alert state, awake, able to focus, but also relaxed, regular diaphragmatic breathing is the most effective way to breathe. And if you want to relax, if you want to fall asleep, to breathe diaphragmatically, but to really extend the exhale. So I do have a whole video on diaphragmatic breathing, which I think you could find very useful if you haven't seen it, and we will link here on the screen. But regular diaphragmatic breathing would be to breathe in deeply into the bottom of your lungs so your stomach expands. Let's say your count is 4, it's natural for you, and then the exhale is 4, nice and slow and even, right? So it's not a fast exhale. So the nice, even in-breath of 4, out-breath of 4 is for relaxed but alert functioning. And then if you want to relax, you have that count of 4 on the in-breath. Have your exhale be 6 to 8 counts, but slow and even through the exhale, and that will stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that relaxes us slows us down. So knowing these techniques and knowing when to apply different breathing techniques really helps. So the insight that I had when I was skiing, and I recorded a little short, if you haven't seen it, on fear and anxiety and skiing, right? Some insights I had on that. But when I realized I wasn't breathing in a method that went with my skiing, right? I was feeling a little bit tense and nervous on some of the harder hills. I was like, my muscles would tense, but then my breathing also wasn't very deep. So I was running out of breath, and the altitude contributed to that, right? So I began to try to breathe in more diaphragmatically, more deeply, make sure my exhale was nice and slow, and then I timed it with the rhythm of skiing. Now, why? I've skied for 40 years. Nobody has ever said that I should time my breathing with my skiing, and it's really helpful. So what I would do is that when you're making your turn, that's your exertion, I would exhale, and then when you come out of your turn, that's when you sort of straighten your body but put your weight down the hill, and it's a little bit more of a relaxing feeling if you can get into it, a little bit more of almost like a little bit of flying. That's the inhale, okay? So it's an inhale on the more relaxing movement and an exhale on the exertion. And when I began to do that, I began to flow through my skiing way easier. But I'm sharing this not to give you skiing tips. I am definitely not a skiing instructor. And I know most of you don't ski, which is fine. Avoiding skiing if you don't like it, if you don't like the cold, you don't like whatever, all of that is okay. That's not like an anxious kind of avoidance. That's not, I don't like it. I don't choose to do it, which is fine. But I'm sharing this because bringing this concept of how you're breathing into your everyday life can help you over time really lower the anxiety and tension you're bringing to those situations that don't require it. So when I shared with that little clip when I was on that ski lift about my husband being taught how to breathe when he was beginning to feel that altitude sickness, right? So that really deep breath in, long deep breath in, and a very quick exhale. That's a very activating type of breathing, oxygenates your blood, helps if you're hiking in the mountains at a high altitude you're not used to. And I began to incorporate that a little bit into my skiing when I would get that feeling of running out of breath. I would pause, I would stop, I'd try to catch my breath, but I'd make sure I was doing it in that manner. Now, that is exactly the opposite of what is needed if you're feeling anxious. So that hyperventilation type of breathing can be caused by anxiety, and it can exacerbate anxiety. And I'm actually going to put out a video in a couple of weeks on people who hyperventilate chronically as an anxiety response. So I am going to come out with a video on that. But just to know that when you want to activate your body, it is probably that kind of breathing where the exhale is fast, and when you want to relax, the exhale is slow. So let me know what you think of this. I truly wish that we were taught these sort of breathing techniques in the general population on a more regular basis, because it's almost like how to breathe to be healthy, right? And then I also know that many people have told me that as soon as they start to focus on their breathing, they feel anxious, they feel like they're not doing it right. There's really, and no matter what I've said today, there's no way to do it wrong. Your body knows how to breathe. But I'm about to record a video for those people who feel that they get too anxious when concentrating on breathing. All right. Hope you found this helpful. If so, give it a like, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you later, and bye for now.